Hello and welcome to the 19th tutorial in the JavaScript Basics series, and in this tutorial we're going to look at the for loop. We'll be using the code from tutorial 2 as the base code. If you don't have that, there'll be a link in the description to the source code, and as usual there'll be a link in the description to the source code produced from this tutorial. So what is a for loop? A loop of any kind in coding allows you to basically execute multiple code multiple times. So you can execute one line of code or 50 lines of code, but you can execute them multiple times, which is really cool instead of having to duplicate that code. And especially if you need to change that code slightly, you need to change it every single time you duplicated it. So let's go ahead and open up a text editor. Then you want to open up the files from tutorial 2 inside your text editor. Okie dokie, and to do a for loop, we're just going to actually get rid of this for now. It is really simple. You do for, open close bracket, and curly brace. Then in here, there are three statements that you have to provide. The first statement is executed before the loop, before the loop, and usually it allows you to set up some sort of variable for an index or an iterator. So I'm just going to do var, not avr, var I equals 0. Then you do semicolon to say that you've finished that statement. Now the next statement is basically the definition of the condition for running the loop. It defines the condition. So we're going to say while I is less than 5, keep looping through this for loop. The next statement and the final statement is executed each time after the loop. So basically it'll iterate 5 times, for example, in this one, but every time one iteration has gone past or one pass, it will run this piece of code. And for this one, a lot of the time general convention is to do something that will affect this condition. So we're just going to do I++, which just increments I by 1. If we just put an alert in here and we print out, or we alert I, when we just open up the web browser, we got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. But we only wrote alert once, which is really cool. You can also do this for arrays as well. So maybe you have an array, and maybe that has 100 objects in the array. You don't want to write 100 lines of code. You could literally just write these 4 lines of code and get something from the array using this index. And because arrays start at 0, as a lot of other things do in coding, it would be great to start this I, or whatever you want to call this variable, at 0. You don't actually need to declare it here. What you could do is actually declare it outside. So maybe it's used somewhere else. You could just do this, and maybe just assign it 0 here, or whatever you want to. What you can also do is omit this line if you want to, and if we just put this as 0, we refresh, it does the same thing because we've initialized it here. You can also omit this line as well, or this statement I should say, and then maybe do the condition, or the change of the condition in the actual for loop. So we can do I++, and if we just refresh our web browser, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. You generally wouldn't want to do this because there's something called a while loop, which we will cover in tutorial 21, which is essentially this. But this is it for loops. This is the core foundation of loops. This is something that you'll be using a lot in coding. In the next tutorial, we're going to look at the for in a loop. If you have any questions, feel free to message us. All the required source code will be in the description. And as usual, thanks for watching.